What's good, my fellow GeoGeeks and MetaMappers? Spatial Ninja here, bringing you This Week in MetaMapping. Today is Saturday, May 20th, and I'm excited to share a few of the different GIS-based articles that have come out over the past couple of weeks. We've got some articles on some new products from Cesium as well as Foursquare. We also have an article that talks about an early preview for the Overture Foundation, Overture Map Foundation data set. And as always, we've got a couple of articles talking about what's new within ArcGIS. And we'll end today's episode with a couple of MappyMemes of the week. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first article of today. So Cesium partners with Google Maps platform to render its new photorealistic 3D tiles. So Cesium has partnered with Google Maps platform on the experimental release of photorealistic 3D tiles available through their Map Tiles API. Photorealistic 3D tiles announced at Google I/O use the Open Geospatial Consortium's 3D tiles community standard pioneered by Cesium. So here we can see a screenshot here of some of those new 3D tiles that have been generated by Cesium. It says the Map Tiles API serves photorealistic 3D tiles to an open ecosystem of 3D tile-enabled runtimes, which include the Cesium JS, Unreal Engine, Unity, and NVIDIA Omniverse. Okay, so Cesium has just released a bunch of new 3D tiles that are available for some of these API SDKs that allow you to create these 3D immersive environments. A variety of these different articles we've covered over the past few weeks of more and more companies getting into this digital twin space and creating these 3D data sets. So it'll be interesting to see if these tiles will start making it into some of the Google applications like Google Maps or even Google Earth, which has always had kind of a 3D rendering. If that 3D rendering will now just get more and more enhanced with these third-party vendors starting to provide more and more of this 3D data. Our next article here, the industry's first application of graph technology to geospatial data. Meet Foursquare Graph. So it says Foursquare, the leading independent geospatial technology platform, today announced its Geospatial Knowledge Graph, a novel way of organizing geospatial data sets using graph technologies and the H3 grid system to transform how businesses derive value from location data. So if you're not familiar with a knowledge graph, it's an engine and way to store data and information via relationships. So it's different than a standard relational database management system, but it's what they classify as this knowledge graph, which is all solely based off of relationships instead of unique identifiers. And if you're not familiar with H3, that's kind of an Uber standard hexagon shape that they've released. You see this a lot right now, kind of a standard grid system across the entire world that folks can aggregate to and enrich with different GIS data sets. So the process of ingesting and managing geospatial data sets to derive insights is a complicated obstacle that requires specialized skill and expensive hardware. So the Foursquare Graph eliminates common challenges in achieving such results by pre-joining various geospatial data sets through well-defined relationships and minimizing the time and resources necessary to extract valuable location-based insights. So one thing about graph engines is that they're very fast. When you've got lots and lots of data, you can go in and query and get that data and traverse that data very, very quickly. Which is somewhat different than maybe a traditional GIS database, where when you've got lots and lots of data, you're also storing the geometry and working with those big data GIS databases can be slow at times. The Foursquare Graph also introduces a time-aware dimension to all geospatial data sets, facilitating spatiotemporal analysis that would not have otherwise been possible without significant infrastructure investments. Again, when you have time-aware data, you just multiply the amount of data that you have because you've got timestamps with every single record. And when you've got time-aware data inside of a GIS database, let's say IoT data or location-based IoT data, and you've got all of those different records coming in real time, and you want to query and work and analyze that data, again, a traditional database can be slow and heavy to work with, while a graph engine is a lot lighter. So Foursquare's geospatial knowledge graph lowers the barrier to entry for location intelligence and limits the time it takes to uncover crucial insights within geospatial data queries. So by indexing Foursquare's proprietary data sets to the H3 grid and connecting them with well-defined relationships, Foursquare and its customers can quickly and easily join disparate geospatial data sets to unlock powerful insights. So essentially, they're taking all that kind of location-based Foursquare data. So how many people are going to different restaurants and stores and ratings and rankings and things like that. And they're aggregating that to this H3 grid standard to allow for you to leverage that data set with your other GIS data sets very quickly inside of this graph engine. So with this geospatial knowledge graph, insights are derived to an aggregated level anchored in spatial units, such as a point of interest rather than at the movement of an individual. So as I said, instead of dealing with the individual POIs or points, it's all aggregated to those H3 standard grids, and then you're allowed to, and then you can take those grids and marry your own data up with it. So I know Esri has a new knowledge graph product as well. This seems to be a trend right now, is looking at graph engines as a way to store large amounts of data, and now starting to put more geospatial data inside of those graph engines. So next article that comes from GeoWeek News. Overture Maps Foundation releases preliminary map data set. So we've talked about the Overture Maps Foundation a couple times on this channel. And for those of you not familiar, the Overture Maps Foundation is a community-driven effort to develop an open map data set built for map service providers. And last month, they announced the first public showing of their work in what they are referring to as a pre-release. So essentially, they want to create this open source, open data set with a variety of kind of vendors in play here. It's headed up by the Linux Foundation. You've got AWS, Meta, Microsoft, TomTom, and Esri kind of contributing and helping with the standards here. But the idea that there's one good source of data that is available for folks to take advantage of, because today, if you want building data, 3D data, there's a whole bunch of different sources that you have to go to or purchase to get access to that data set. And their goal with the Overture Maps Foundation is to create these kind of standardized data products and make them openly and publicly available. So it looks like in this release, they do note that it's not the final data set, but it's a showcase of what they plan to build. So I think they're looking for some feedback and input from the community around this kind of early preview data set. So this kind of early preview here includes the addition of over 6 million building heights located in about 34,000 square miles in cities of Boston, Chicago, Santa Clara. And to develop this data, kind of these 3D building data sets, the foundation utilized the 3DEP program from the USGS to get elevation data and LiDAR data, as well as looks like they cross-checked that data with building footprints from OpenStreetMap and Microsoft's building footprint data as well. So if you've been following along with the Overture Maps Foundation and interested in this data set, check it out. There is a new early preview of it available. Our next article here comes from Arc News from Esri. And Esri has an agreement with NASA to make data more widely available. So Esri signed a Space Act agreement with NASA to give the broader GIS community greater access to NASA's geospatial content. So new data sets from nearly 100 spaceborne sensors that measure atmospheric health, land-based phenomena, and characteristics of the ocean are getting added to the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World. Pretty cool. So obviously NASA has a lot of satellites and a lot of sensors on those satellites collecting Earth readings. And this agreement with Esri now will allow for users of ArcGIS to start to work with those different sensor-based data sets through the ArcGIS Living Atlas. And as we just covered, right, this little piece of the article here also mentions how Esri has joined the Overture Maps Foundation with the effort to share interoperable open map data. So, you know, ArcGIS and the Living Atlas has been somewhat of an open data hub for quite some time, and there's a lot of third-party contributors to that library of data sets. Now with this Overture Maps Foundation, I think you're going to see a lot more of those Living Atlas data sets get pushed into that Overture Maps Foundation and become even more widely used and adopted by the GIS community. Always like to see more accessible data because I remember 10 years ago trying to find GIS data, and it was a lot more difficult back then. There's a few government sites that you would turn to, and you'd have to ask around, but now with web services, open data hubs, it's a lot easier to get access to really good, relevant geospatial data. Next article from the Esri blog is about a digital twin here. Frisco, Texas finds success with a public safety-based digital twin. Now, if you've been staying tuned with the MetaMapping episodes over the past month, we've talked a lot about metaverse. We've talked a lot about digital twins and the role of GIS. So here's an example of a public safety digital twin. The city of Frisco, Texas, had developed an innovative and collaborative emergency response platform called SAFER that delivers real-time situational awareness of assets and staff across departments. So we've got the few key takeaways here. So the SAFER platform delivers situational awareness across the fire, police, and transportation departments, creating this kind of public safety digital twin. The platform began with the school district and now operates as a citywide emergency response program. SAFER continues to integrate systems and engage partners to keep pace with Frisco's rapid growth. So, pretty interesting use case here of this idea of digital twins. In this case, kind of building a digital twin of a city and then of all of the kind of emergency response operations going on in the city. So Frisco's police chief, David Shilson, likes how SAFER provides access to information in the field for faster response and resolutions. In simple calls like minor accidents, dispatchers responding officers can pull up traffic cameras through links in SAFER and determine the best approach. In larger scenarios, incident commanders can look at where their units are in order to quickly set perimeters and direct incoming resources. There's day and age, there's no shortage of different types of emergencies, whether it's natural emergencies, whether it's active shooters, unfortunately. There's just all sorts of emergency response that is going on globally as well as here in the US. So this idea of creating kind of this digital twin where emergency responders can easily pull up live video feeds, floor plans of buildings or floor plans of schools or live feeds within inside of schools, however freaky that sounds, can only help with the response time and ensuring that livelihoods are saved and folks are the situation is lessened as quickly as possible. So great to see this use case here for GIS and for digital twins on the emergency response side of things. So here we can see kind of some buildings where you've got cameras located around this building, live feeds coming in, and it says, daily city residents use a crime app that is an offshoot of the Safer system. Our residents are very engaged and aware with their surroundings and let us know if the data doesn't look right. So, another use of this idea of a digital twin for the city is getting crowdsourced information. So as, folks are collecting information on street signs or buildings or crime, things that are going on in the city, they can help contribute to this digital twin and overall the GIS mapping. So let's now switch here to some ArcGIS product updates and a little bit of a tip and trick that I found on the ArcGIS blog. So this little best practice tip and trick here is about using attributes as URL parameters in pop-ups, which I thought was pretty interesting. So if you've got applications either in ArcGIS or maybe another app that you have that leverages URL parameters, meaning you can have a string of data at the end of that URL, which can filter that application, zoom you to that a map in that application, or interact with that application somehow besides the default kind of landing page of that app. A URL parameter allows you to do all that interaction. So this little tip here within the ArcGIS blog shows you how you can use URL parameters and build a dynamic link in a pop-up. So the example they show is you've got a parcel number here from your parcel data set, and you've got a parcel search application that has a URL parameter where you could plug in the parcel number and automatically search directly for that parcel ID, which we can see here, parcel ID, and here's the parcel number. So what you can do within a web map is configure the pop-ups and then add a text section of that pop-up. And what they're doing is just grabbing the information from that parcel you select, the parcel ID, which we can see here. And then they're creating a hyperlink with the URL to that parcel search database. And then they're adding in the URL parameter for the parcel ID field from the GIS database. So now when someone selects on view assessor's information, it'll jump to that URL and use that URL parameter to automatically search through that parcel database. So I've used URL parameters a few times within pop-ups. I think this is a neat tip and trick here within the ArcGIS web maps. So now for a few updates within ArcGIS, announcing the new Places service for developers. So there is a new, I wouldn't call it geocoding, but it's a places search. So it's somewhat parallel to geocoding in that you are looking or searching for a location. But this new places search service, which is in beta, allows you to search for places near a location, search for places within a bounding box of a map, use over 1,000 categories to filter for different types of places like restaurants, and search for places using keywords, and get detailed information about a place such as name, category, the address, contact information, website, social links, hours, prices, ratings, and user ratings. So this places search, if you've used Google Maps, you can search for different restaurants and places, and then it returns information. This new place search service that is coming out is in beta. So if you're interested in incorporating that into your applications, be sure to check that out. Finally, the last update that I want to mention this week is a new update to ArcGIS QuickCapture. And if you're not familiar with QuickCapture, it's a mobile app within ArcGIS that allows you to capture data very quickly, as the name says. It's kind of the fat button app, meaning that it's unlike field maps where there's a map and you're drawing something on the map to collect data. This just has a quick button to capture some information very, very rapidly. So some of the new updates here, video recording. So previously, the only option was to select a feature that you wanted to capture a point of. And when you did that, it also collected a photo with that point very quickly. Boom, snap a photo, I captured a GIS point. Now you can also capture video. So if you want to, start your video, capture the point, and then it starts recording the video, and then boom, you're done recording the video, and now stores that video with that GIS point. Looks like there's enhanced app linking in this latest release as well. So if you want to switch between, let's say, field maps or Survey 123 and QuickCapture to do some quick data capture, or from a web app into QuickCapture, there's now this enhanced app linking to do so. And then the last update here is a better icon gallery. So if you want to use some of the default icons to, let's say, capture a down tree or capture some graffiti, there's a bunch of new stylistic icons here that you can use as that button that someone selects to collect that point. I use QuickCapture quite a bit. I think it's one of the not as well-known mobile applications that ArcGIS has. I think everyone knows Collector, now Field Maps, and Survey 123, but QuickCapture is a great app for that quick data collection. All right, so finishing up this week in MetaMapping, let's jump into our MappyMemes. First one here from Matt Malone, who seems to be on a roll of late with his MappyMemes. When I haven't opened ArcMap in a while and I see the icon size. What is this? A toolbar for ants. Gotta love some Zoolander. Yeah, it's been a while since I've opened up ArcMap. I've been in ArcGIS Pro for quite some time now, but definitely could see how if you went back into ArcMap, all the mini toolbars and hundreds of toolbars that you could have, stacked in ArcMap. So I liked this one. We'll go ahead and and retweet this MappyMeme. Second one for this week comes from Pocato Maps. And it is when someone hasn't enabled delete protection on their layer in ArcGIS Online hosted feature layer. I also like to live dangerously. So yeah, I've talked about this a couple times on this channel. The importance of having delete protection on your services, because if you don't, you accidentally delete a layer and your map, your app, everything starts to break. Yeah, if you don't have that delete protection on, you do live a bit dangerously. So I liked this MappyMeme as well. We'll reshare that one too. So these have been the articles for the MetaMapping this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you haven't, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Decided to do a giveaway of a brand new Ledger Nano X. So if you're into cryptocurrency, this is a great cold storage wallet option. even though there's been some pushback on Ledger as of late. If you're following the crypto space, still a great cold storage wallet option. So we're going to be giving one of those away, as well as a Meta World Maps hat. So we've got these new hats that also have the Polygon logo on the back side of it to highlight some of our NFT projects. So we're going to be giving away those two things when we hit 50 subscribers. So again, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as I mentioned, check out our NFT projects. If you're interested in NFTs, feel free to reach out. Join our Discord, comment on this YouTube video. I'm looking to put together more videos on how I built these two NFT projects, Project Meta Expedition and the City Maps Collection, which again are two map-based NFT projects. So like I said, I'll be putting out more and more videos on what I did, updates to these NFT projects, and then maybe take a look at some other GIS-based NFT projects that exist out there. So once again, thank you for watching, and as always, stay mappy, my friends.